Raggedy Bits. It's our final day for our 5-chair challenge. I hope you've enjoyed all the projects so far and they've inspired you to get painting your chairs, or you found a design or a technique that you like that you will apply to yours. Project. I'm going to just go ahead and give it a good clean with the good old Fusion TSP, and then we are going to have some fun. I'll give it a couple of coats of raw silk, Fusion raw silk, and then we're going to do some stamping. Alrighty, I'll get busy cleaning. Some sort of funky finish on it. It feels like it might be some sort of a chalk paint or perhaps maybe a milk paint. It's got a very sort of gritty feeling to it. I've cleaned it down and I'm just not happy to be putting paint straight on top of that. So I'm going to give it a sand with 80 grit sandpaper just to take off all that gritty feeling that I've got going on here. So I'm going to pop outside and I'll be back in a minute to start painting. So I've just wiped that down just to make sure there's no leftover residue from the sanding. And now using my Klingon 030, oval 35, sorry, I'm going to get busy painting. The Fusion raw silk. I'm really happy with the coverage. Normally with a white on a dark surface it takes about 3 or 4 coats, but this has only taken 2, which is good. So what I've basically done, next we're going to do some stamping. We're going to use the IOD Painterly Rose stamp set, and we're going to create sort of like a rose pattern on the seat of the chair. So what I've done is the same as I did with all the other stamping. I've popped out some bayberry, which I've mixed with raw silk, and I've added in clear glaze. And then over here I have echinacea with a clear glaze, just to keep the paint open while we're painting. That's bayberry by itself. And then over here I've got a little bit of the echinacea with the raw silk. So the idea is to have 2 darker colours, so you need your green, your favourite colour green, and then blended with a little bit of white or raw silk or something along those lines, just to make it a lighter colour, and then obviously your pink, or whatever colour rose, you could do any colour really. You could go orange, yellow, whichever, purple, whatever colours you're sort of happy with. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the brayer, and I'm going to start off using the darker colour, the echinacea. So I'm going to just drag that out because we want the paint to be nice and smooth. You can do it 2 ways. You can use the brayer to apply it to the stamp, and we're just going to use these sort of roundish sort of roses here, the 2 rose sets. So they look very similar, but then what happens is we're going to sort of layer them. So using the bigger of the 2, I'm just going to load up my brayer, up the stamp. I'm not putting this on a stamp, on a piece of transfer film. Sorry, I can't speak today. I must be going chair crazy. And then I'm just going to, this is going to sort of take a little bit of playing around with, but visualizing how sort of flowers fall, what a bunch of roses looks like, or a bunch of flowers looks like. I'm just going to sort of play around a little bit with the design. I've got no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I've just dropped the stamp and I've pushed it down, so you get that sort of effect. And I'm just going to do this a few times with the echinacea over the base of the chair. Okay, so I'll just start off with this now, and then I may add to it as I'm going along. So grabbing that second little rosette, I'm just grabbing the lighter colour of the echinacea that I added in a little bit of raw silk, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not rinsing the brayer at all. Just going to pull some of that paint out so it's flat, and I'm just going to load up that second stamp set. And then just on the insert of the rose that we've already popped down, the flower that we've already popped down, we're just going to put down the second one. So it kind of gives you that sort of an effect. For you. So next up we're going to build the stem part of the flowers. So I'm just going to use this one, which is the larger of the two leaf sets that are part of that. Actually, what I might do is I'm going to try it this way, try this one. So I'm going to use, this one's got the veins in it on the leaf. I'm going to use just the flat leaf first up, and then I will have to clean my brayer, which has got pink all over it. So just wiping that down, or if you're lucky enough to have two brayers, just use the second brayer. With the darker of the bayberry, so not the one that I've mixed in the raw silk, I'm doing the same thing. Oops, almost picked up the wrong stamp. That would have been bad. Okay, so I'm loading that up with the straight bayberry. And then I'm just going to go, I'll start on this one over here. So you sort of just have a little play around. And start adding the leaves. Dry before I come back and put on the lighter green, just because there's a fair bit of paint on there at the minute. So we'll just let that dry, and then I'll come back and do the next layer. So that's just about dry now. So I'm just loading up the stamp with the veins in it for the leaves, and I'm going in with the lighter bayberry, and I'm just loading up my stamp and then going back over the leaves where I've already applied. And this just adds a bit of definition to the leaves. These are 3 I've done, and I've got to do the rest. now I'm just going to add to add a little bit more definition to the center of the roses. There's a little tiny stamp which is the center of the rose. I'm just going to apply straight. Sorry, I've got some Babery on there somehow. I'm just going to apply that straight to the center of the rose. Like so. Hopefully you can see that one there. I'll continue on with the rest. Completely dry, and then I'll come back and I'll have a look at it again, and we'll see if I want to add maybe a little bit more of the darker into the leaves to bring that back out again. We'll just see once it all dries. So that's now all completely dry, and I'm just going to add a little bit of the kindest regard stamp just here to fill in just really lightly. I'm going to use ink this time. I'm not going to use paint. Just to sort of fill in the gaps here. It's not going to be heavy at all. And then I'm going to distress the whole piece to give it a really nice vintagey look. Okay, so as I've loaded up the stamp, I've sort of gone in like that because I don't want it to be like a block and be square. So I'm using Stone Grey, which is a nice soft vintagey colour, and I'm just going to gently drop this down. It's also on a backing sheet as well. I'm just going to lightly run my fingers over the stamp and then move back. And there you can see there in the corner. And doesn't matter if it goes onto the roses because it all sort of blends in nicely. So just sort of wherever you feel that it looks like it needs it. It's just to add a nice little touch to it. Okay, so I think I'm happy for that now. I'll let the ink completely dry because if you don't let that dry and you try and distress it, you're actually going to pull that across all of your hard work that you've done. So let it dry, and then I'll come back with 120 grit sandpaper and distress it. So that's all dry now. As I said, just grabbing my 120 grit sandpaper, I'm just going to come along and just give it a little bit of a distress. If you didn't want to, you don't have to at this point. So that's all distressed now, a quick wax and we're all done. Of our 5-chair challenge. I hope you've enjoyed these tutorials as much as I have, and using different techniques to get a different effect on each of these 5 chairs. Even though I don't particularly like painting chairs. I don't know what it is, I really don't, but this has been fun, I must tell you. I'll be sure to leave the link for the tutorial for the last chair that I painted, along with all the links to the products that I used. And also a link to our monthly painting party if you're interested in joining us. Once a month you get detailed videos of projects similar to what you've seen, where I teach you different sorts of techniques on how to paint your furniture. In the meantime, have a good one, and I look forward to bringing you some more DIYs.